Welcome to Youth Voices of Greater Cincinnati. My name is Clara Kelly, and today we have a very special guest here to talk to us about teaching. Will you please introduce yourself?
My name is Mr. Lueking. I'm the 7th grade math teacher here at Norwood Middle School, and this is my 5th year in the district.
About how long does it take to grade just one simple assignment?
Well, it really depends on the assignment. Some are easier than others. Maybe a test would take longer. I have about 100 students, so it depends on the assignment. If it's something simple that's just for effort, that's pretty easy. But if it's something that I really got to look at and see their progress and their work, then it can take several hours. So it depends on the assignment.
Wow, several hours for just one assignment.
It can.
It's got to take a long time. Is there much work besides that after school that doesn't have to do with teacher and services?
Teaching's kind of an odd profession because you don't get to work at your job while you're there. You're actually executing. So all the plans and all the grading is usually done outside of school. So while we're in school, we're actually teaching, and we do get a plan bell, but usually all the work that you do, all the notes, all the preparation, all the lessons are done outside of school. So there can be quite a bit.
What do you do to control your students? Do you punish them, or do you give them incentives?
It depends. We do both. So I do have some incentive based. We have a thing called the Champions Club, which you were a part of, right? Which means you have an A or B, you don't have any missing work. It's really for the kids that I don't have to worry about. So because I don't have to worry about you, I know you're going to get your work done. You get extra incentives, like you can pick your seat, right? You can go get water breaks when you need one and things like that. Listen to music when it's free time, free work time. I don't give that to all the kids, but just the kids that have proved that they can do the work on their own. And then sometimes, there has to be punishments. Sometimes you need to correct behavior, and so usually we try to make the punishments to fit the behavior. If you throw something on my floor, you have to come back and pick up everything off the floor because you obviously thought my floor was a trash can. And so I'll show you that it's not, so it just depends.
How much college do you as a teacher have to go through in order to be a teacher?
In order to start being a teacher, you have to have a 4-year degree, a bachelor's degree. And that's just to get the foot in the door. And then you got to take a state test after you get the degree. So each state usually has their own test. Some use the same. So you have to pass the test and have a degree, and then you can get hired. And then once you're in there, I can't remember if it's still the rule, but usually they want you to get your master's at some point during your career. And usually I used to have to start it when I was teaching, started teaching within 5 years of your first year. So I have my master's. So I've done my undergrad and my master's.
Is master's the highest?
So master's is the middle. So you get your 4-year degree, and then your master's is usually another 2-year degree, and then you can go for your doctorate after that, and doctorate's the highest.
I don't have to call you Dr. Lueking.
No, I'm not going to I don't plan on getting my doctorate. That's a lot of work. And I think master's is high enough for me.
So what made you want to become a teacher?
Well, it's kind of weird. I had a really great middle school teacher, 8th grade history, and he was also my basketball coach. Had a profound impact on me. Really invested in me, and I really enjoyed his company, and he did a lot for me. He gave me a role model to look up to, and so I really thought, wow, that's neat. I'd like to do that. However, when I got to college, I ended up majoring in business, and so I wasn't a teacher right away. It took me a few years to come back to teaching, but he had a really big impact on my life.
Do you remember what his name was?
His name was Mr. Thomas. I'm still friends with him. We still talk some every once in a while. His sister is part of the athletic department that I coach at, so I still talk to him, see him all the time, connect on Facebook or whatever. So it's cool to see. We used to go to church together, and so that's where we got to hang out a lot. And so, we still have connections. I still talk to him every once in a while.
So, you said you went back to teaching. What made you want to get back to teaching? When did that happen?
So, I majored in finance.
Okay.
Had my 4-year degree, got out, got a real job, sat in a cubicle with a computer, and I did contracts for the Air Force at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. It was a really good job, got good money, good stable position, but it was just boring. I just didn't really like learning about airplane parts and buying airplane parts. It seemed just boring to me. And so I got into coaching. So I started coaching at Lakota West High School, soccer, and I enjoyed the kids. I enjoyed being around them. And so as that progressed, I realized I didn't want to do what I was doing. And I remembered that impact Mr. Thomas had on me, and I thought, well, if I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing something, I wanted to make a difference, and so I went back and got my master's at teaching.
Do you like bond with your students? Like, is it hard for you to say goodbye to them? And
I think we have a good relationship in general. I'm kind of a big kid in general, so I like all the stupid jokes and stuff. Now that there's got to be a line there because you're still the teacher. But outside of school, I love going to like their soccer games or seeing them doing clubs outside, and you're able to connect that way. We usually have a good rapport with the students. What was the second part of it?
Like, do you get really sad when like the kids?
It can be sad because you get attached. It can be sad, but fortunately for me, the middle school and the high school is connected, so I can walk through the halls like I did over here, and I can still see. I can come over and say hi, still see them. I can stop into their practices and say hi. So it is sad, but that's kind of your role. You're just there for a short time, and then you wish them the best and support them in any other way you can.
Yeah, I know a few teachers who like started sobbing after.
Yeah,
like,
there's sometimes there's some tears at the end of the year. You get kids that you get attached to, and they get attached to you, and then it happens. But people come back. I still got kids coming back from the high school, stop in my room every once in a while and say hi. So it's nice that the schools are connected like that.
Like, as a teacher, are you content with your current position, or would you like to move up in the rank? Like, are you just...
No, I think I like being a teacher. I like being in the classroom. I like the kids. I like doing what I'm doing. I don't think I'd like to be administration. Kind of removes you from all that stuff I got into teaching in the first place for. It would be neat sometimes. I think it would be nice to have a break. But I think I'd probably stick to be a teacher. I don't plan on going and being a principal or anything.
Have you been in other teaching positions? Like, have you ever taught a different grade or taught a different subject?
So this is my 5th year here, but before this school, I was at a different school for 2 years. And that school, I taught math and science, and I've taught 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. So I've taught math and science and math, but here I'm just math.
How many kids, like, on average, do you have per class? Like, do you have huge classes?
I'm usually 18 to 20. It can get big up to 25 and can get a little smaller down to 16. But in general, probably 18 to 20. Yeah, so I'm about there. It's usually enough to fill up the desks.
Does it make you crazy when all the kids are like, if there's a lot
it can be challenging sometimes for sure. The kids bring different things into the room every day, whether it's home or social or whatever. And sometimes it can be hard to get through to them. But in general, they know the expectations. They've been set. The expectations are clear. And they usually can figure out how to cope within those boundaries.
What do you like most about teaching?
I like the kids. I like the kids. I mean, I like math, but I got into it because I had people in my life invest in me. And it made a big difference. And so that's what I wanted to do. If I can make a difference, then that's what I'm here to do. It's the people. People are what's important to me. Math's great, but it's kind of just a tool. It's a platform for me to get into their lives. So that's kind of how I view it. Math is my platform into different kids' lives.
What do you like the least about teaching?
That's a good question. I get annoyed sometimes just at having to defend. As a teacher, you're kind of always on the defense. It's easy for somebody to come in and say something like, you didn't turn that in, we didn't do it. You always have to kind of like have your I's crossed or your I's dotted and your T's crossed because, you have to have a log of everything. Sometimes it can get old having to kind of defend yourself in every situation. Sometimes, kids say one thing, but it's not really what happened or stuff. It can get kind of old of trying to defend what you did every day. That doesn't happen often, but sometimes you have to.
What is your least favorite school rule?
I don't know if I have one. I mean, the rules are in place for a reason, and I can usually see the value behind the rules. I don't know. I think that's more of a student question, like, we don't like the hoodies or we don't like whatever. As a teacher, it doesn't really affect me that much because we have different rules, right? We have different rules than the students, We have to be here at a certain time. We have a different dress code, so that really, I don't really have a least favorite rule. You just kind of get used to them. I don't have a favorite rule either, I guess. They're just kind of there, so that's what we do. Just follow the rules.
How do you deal with student tantrums?
Depends. So you can't, it's not like every kid's different. Every kid's story's different. Most of them, their background. So sometimes it's just like pull them aside and say, hey, just chill out here for a second. right? Sometimes you got to remove them from class. Sometimes you got to call home. Sometimes you got to send them to the office. It really depends on their past behaviors, what we're doing in class there now. What do they bring in? Can you talk to them? Can you reason with them? Your first line of defense is just have a good relationship, and usually you can reason with them. Like, we understand each other. Like, I got it. You're having a bad day. So just chill out for about 10 minutes, hang out, right? And then we'll deal with it in a second, But then sometimes it's a tantrum, and they need to be removed. And sometimes that happens. You got to get a kid removed. So you might call and say, hey, I need this kid removed, and they'll come get him.
What is the worst tantrum you've ever seen?
It wasn't at this school. My previous school was pretty rough. There's been, desks being flipped and stuff being thrown, and classes had to be cleared out. Yeah, it's happened. Some kids really struggle with that kind of control, and they lose it. So you have to you just kind of remove everybody else until they're done, and then go from there.
How much longer do you plan to teach? Do you plan to do it for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I plan to retire as a teacher. Luckily for teachers, retirement's good. They have a really good retirement system. So I don't see myself doing anything else. I love what I do. I like coming to school. I like being a part of it. And so I enjoy it. I don't see myself doing anything else for quite a while.
Is it boring in the summer when you don't have the
No, it's nice.
teaching role?
It's nice. I keep myself busy, so I coach sports, so I'm really busy in the summer. I do a lot of housework, so we work on my house, take trips. You can keep yourself busy. It's a nice break before school starts. Get yourself mentally ready for what's about to happen. So it's a good amount of time.
Do you ever get bored with what you teach? Since you've been teaching the same subject and you teach the same thing over and over and over.
I don't think it gets bored because then my lessons change. If I get bored, I'm usually changing something so I don't get bored. Maybe the questions change. Maybe I add a video. Maybe I put in a scavenger hunt. Something that I can do that's not going to make me bored. So usually we have certain stuff we have to do, but if I think it's going to be boring, I really try to steer away from that because I know you guys will think it's boring, right? And in general, sometimes you do have to do boring work, but I do my best to try and keep them on their toes and do something kind of engaging, whether it's a video or a game or something.
Yeah, I've been in your class. You do a good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have anything that you'd like to discuss or ask me or anything?
No, you did a really good job. Those are some good questions. So, yeah, you got to hear a little bit about my story, right? I didn't show up as a teacher. I didn't come to teaching till I was 28. So I was in the real world, doing real world stuff, and switched my career, and it's been a good decision since then.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Lueking, for coming down. It was a really nice talk show. I learned a lot.
Well, thank you for having me. You did a great job. I'm glad you got to hear some of my story, and I hope you stick with it. You've done really well.
All right, thank you. That's Youth Voices of Greater Cincinnati. Thank you for watching.